Guru Shri Juta Padakamalang.
Hare Krishna. Very welcome to our channel, Bhagavad-gita. Here it is. We have it, Bhagavad-gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, and my name is Bhagavad-gita. So today we're reading from the 9th chapter, which we have been doing for a while. And actually this whole Bhagavad-gita project, we're more than 2.5 years in, and we have little less than half left. And it's been actually very nice to have this steady every week reading something. I have no idea who's on the other side. And of course I have no idea if you've also been here for 2.5 years. Maybe not. But of course it's all there. It's still there. It's recorded. And I have no idea if you will stick with us towards the Bhagavad Gita, but I really hope so, because this project is not, obviously, it's not done in order to find oneself a big position on the YouTube. That's not happening. But it's done because we like to read Bhagavad Gita, and we also know that reading Bhagavad Gita just alone, it's harder. It's harder to get into it. It's harder to enter into Bhagavad Gita. So this is an attempt that we can read together, even if we're a bit far apart. And this verse today is very essential for Krishna consciousness. And if you're making a little list of verses to read, to learn by heart, put this one on it as well. This is text 26 in the 9th chapter. Patrang pushpang palang toyang yome bhaktya pranatsati tadahang bhaktupahritam ashnami prayatatmanah. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, a water, I will accept it, Krishna says. So he's speaking about devotional service. Because we have the Vedas, they're very vast, and there's much knowledge, there's much philosophy, many mantras, many procedures. It's not easy to find your way in it, and it's not easy to find that focus and determination and, intellectual capacity to study it. So Krishna put the Mahabharata in there, which is mostly in story form. Mahabharata means the great history of Bharat, of India, or the world actually. But in that, so many stories, so much there are wars, and there's love, and there's complications. I put this one chapter, which is called the Bhagavad-gita, which is pure philosophy, but very accessible. Something like this verse says, to offer something to God, we can take a little water, a flower, a fruit. These are things anyone has access to. Krishna doesn't want to make it more difficult for us at all. He wants to make it more easy for us, because what really pleases him, when you serve God, when you worship God, we do it to please him. And it's actually important to think about that, because sometimes we think we do it because it's right, or because it makes us a better person, because that's what we've been taught. No, it's a relationship between us and God. But we don't want to just start on the sentimental side of it, like, yes, I can just have a relationship with God. Well, first we have to know him, and if we want to be in that relationship, we need to know him, and we need to know what he likes. So Krishna makes it easy for us. He gives us the Bhagavad Gita in order to make it easy for us. I will read Prabhupada's purport. There's quite some, because this is a very foundational verse, really, about life in devotion, which is, after all, the yoga method Krishna recommends in the Bhagavad Gita itself. Purport. For the intelligent person, it is essential to be in Krishna consciousness, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, in order to achieve a permanent blissful abode for eternal happiness. Yes. That's what's actually available, because whatever we aim for, generally, directly or indirectly, we wouldn't aim for it if it didn't include happiness. So Bhagavad Gita has been trying to tell us who we are, and because if we don't know who we are, we don't know what is the basis for happiness. So here that is stated in, well, we've gotten quite far. This is the 9th chapter after all. Our nature is to be connected to Krishna in loving service. And everything outside of that is not going to be ultimately fulfilling. So we're not speaking, this is our religion and you have to follow it. No, we're speaking, this is the nature of the soul, and you are that eternal, blissful person, full of knowledge. And here in the human form of life, we're able to hook up again to that relationship to God. And we're not saying our religion is the best. We're saying the religious principles given by Krishna, those are the principles that work. They work whether we do it in this religion or the other religion. The process of achieving such a marvelous result is very easy and can be attempted even by the poorest of the poor without any kind of qualification. The only qualification required in this connection is to be a pure devotee of the Lord. So that maybe it's not so immediately easy, but it's not complicated, and it does not depend on our material facilities, abilities, position, anything like that, because it's directly from the soul to God, and we're all that spirit soul. We all have the right to be in that relationship to God. It does not matter what one is or where one is situated. The process is so easy that even a leaf or a little water or fruit can be offered to the Supreme Lord in genuine love, and the Lord will be pleased to accept it. No one therefore can be barred from Krishna consciousness, because it is so easy and universal. Who is such a fool that he does not want to be Krishna conscious by this simple method, and thus attain the highest perfectional life of eternity, bliss and knowledge? Krishna wants only loving service and nothing more. Krishna accepts even a little flower from his pure devotee. He does not want any kind of offering from a non-devotee. He is not in need of anything from anyone because he is self-sufficient, and yet he accepts the offering of his devotee in an exchange of love and affection. To develop Krishna consciousness is the highest perfection of life. Bhakti is mentioned twice in this verse in order to declare more emphatically that bhakti, or devotional service, is the only means to approach Krishna. No other condition, such as becoming a brahmana, a learned scholar, a very rich man, or a great philosopher, can induce Krishna to accept some offering. Without the basic principle of bhakti, nothing can induce the Lord to agree to accept anything from anyone. Bhakti is never causal. The process is eternal. It is direct action in service to this absolute whole. So if you have your own Bhagavad-gita, you can read it again, because, to let it sink in, these words, how we actually connect to Krishna. Sometimes they say that, why do religion? Why does God ask things of us? If he's God, why does he need something from us? Shouldn't we rather give it to the poor or do something else? Put it into science, go to the moon. So here it is explained that Krishna doesn't need anything because he has everything. But we actually need to connect to him. So Krishna is showing us the appropriate way, how we can channel or focus our natural tendency to have a loving relationship, our natural tendency for self-realization and understanding, our natural tendency for self-realization. It all comes together in that point of Krishna consciousness. And then Bhagavad-gita gives a firm, extensive philosophical basis for understanding life and everything, but it also gives us the practical. It's like when we like something, we hear about it, we think about it, but then we're also thinking, how do we do it? If you like to travel, you don't just sit at home and read, traveling brochures. You pack your bag and you get out there. If you like food, you don't just watch pictures. You cook the food and you eat the food. So Krishna consciousness, there's a lot of knowledge, but Krishna also gives us the method, the process, the practical means. So here, if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit or water, I will accept it. That's what Krishna says. So that we can all do. At least that we can do. Maybe we can do more, but at least this much we can do easily. And we will see, we will experience actually, when we do turn to Krishna with a small offering and we try to show him that, please Krishna, accept this, please accept my love, and please accept my attempt at loving you and serving you, we will actually experience that connection, that sense of inner satisfaction, and how to say, the sense of peace that comes from being in the right place. Here Lord Krishna, having established that he is the only enjoyer, the primeval Lord and the real object of all sacrificial offerings, reveals the types of sacrifice he desires to be offered. If one wishes to engage in devotion and service to the Supreme Lord, to be purified and to reach the goal of life, the transcendental loving service of God, then one should find out what the Lord desires of him. One who loves Krishna will give him whatever he wants, and he avoids offering anything which is undesirable or unasked. Thus meat, fish and eggs should not be offered to Krishna. He desires such things as offerings. If he had desired that, he would have said so. Instead, he clearly says that a leaf, fruit, flower and water be given to him, and he says of this offering, I will accept it. Therefore, we should understand that he will not accept meat, fish and eggs. Vegetables, grains, fruit, milk and water are the proper food for human beings and are prescribed by Lord Krishna himself. Whatever else we eat cannot be offered to him, since he will not accept it. Thus we cannot be acting on the level of loving devotion if we offer such foods. Yes, so that's the next step, when we think, oh yes, Krishna is satisfied with a little water and with a little fruit. Let me do something even better. Of course, we understand, if we have studied Bhagavad-gita, and actually if we try to enter into this culture, because that's one thing. Prabhupada took these literatures and he translated them to give us this philosophy, but he also established centers of Krishna consciousness, temples, and some villages, some farms, different types of places, but with the focus of serving Krishna and setting up a practical example, because you read a book and you get a lot of knowledge. Bhagavad-gita is a treasure, really. But when it comes to practical life, step by step, waking up, cleaning up in the morning, starting the day, cooking in the kitchen, you can't have that level of detail in the Bhagavad-gita. But it comes back here and there, the more practical instructions. So, in order to serve Krishna, we find out what he likes. It's just like if we love someone, and then we want to give them something, and then we think, what does this person like? And what do they appreciate? And what do they want? And then we give that. And then that person appreciates that. Or otherwise, if we're thinking, yes, I will give such a great gift. I know this person has allergies and health problems and this and that, but I will make the best food that I like. We have this saying, do unto others what you would like them doing to you. And it's a good sentiment, but it's not perfect, because we're different. Like if you have a, I don't know, if you have a horse or something, you can't give that horse exactly the same food that you eat, because they need a different kind of food, you know. And Krishna, he is his own person, he has his own likes and dislikes. But actually, since we are human beings, whatever Krishna likes, that's also good for us. So here we can turn to Krishna and offer him something with love. Then actually what happens, if we have cooking a little offering for Krishna and we put it on his plate and we ask him, please take that food, he generally leaves it for us. And then that's what we eat. That's the only thing we eat. In the 3rd chapter, verse 13, Sri Krishna explains that only the remnants of sacrifice are purified and fit for consumption by those who are seeking advancement in life and release from the clutches of the material entanglement. Those who do not make an offering of their food, he says in the same verse, are eating only sin. In other words, their every mouthful is simply deepening their involvement in the complexities of material nature. Preparing nice, simple vegetable dishes, offering them before the picture or deity of Lord Krishna, bowing down and praying for him to accept such a humble offering, enable one to advance steadily in life, to purify the body and to create fine brain tissue which will lead to clear thinking. Above all, the offering should be made with an attitude of love. Krishna has no need of food, since he already possesses everything that be, yet he will accept the offering of one who desires to please him in that way. The important element in preparing, in serving and in offering is to act with love for Krishna. So it's very practical, because you think, how can I love God? God is beyond my ability to even imagine. And then Krishna reaches out and says, this is how you can serve me. And then I will take care of you. We had a few previous verses here. Krishna says that whoever surrenders to me, I will carry what he lacks and preserve what he has. And that comes down into how we live. Because how we live determines our consciousness. And if we're careless, then we get influenced by a consciousness that may be of a lower quality, that will be less spiritual, that will keep us in this world, take us to the next birth. So Krishna is not only giving us a religion or a lofty philosophy, he's giving us very practically day to day a process that in that process both we can connect to Krishna through loving service and please him, and at the same time it protects us from anything that will pull us away from Krishna. So that's what we do. We find out what Krishna likes. So here he says he accepts that offering. Ashnami, accept. That's what Krishna says. So we cook a nice vegetarian meal for Krishna. We bring it to him. We ask him in prayers to please accept it, and we bow down to him. And not only is that pleasing to Krishna, but then he leaves the remnants of his food that is now spiritualized by Krishna's touch. And when we eat that, we get further protected from any problematic influences in this material world. The impersonalist philosophers who wish to maintain that the absolute truth is without senses cannot comprehend this verse of Bhagavad-gita. To them it is either a metaphor or proof of the mundane character of Krishna, the speaker of the Bhagavad-gita. But in actuality, Krishna, the Supreme Godhead, has senses, and it is stated that his senses are interchangeable. In other words, one sense can perform the function of any other. This is what it means to say that Krishna is absolute. Lacking senses, he could hardly be considered full in all opulences. In the 7th chapter, Krishna has explained that he impregnates the living entities into material nature. This is done by his looking upon material nature. And so in this instance, Krishna's hearing the devotee's words of love in offering foodstuff is wholly identical with his eating and actually tasting. This point should be emphasized because of his absolute position. His hearing is wholly identical with his eating and tasting. Only the devotee who accepts Krishna as he describes himself without interpretation can understand that the supreme absolute truth, can eat food and enjoy it. Yes, there is this philosophy that says everything is impersonal, and therefore if we conceive of God as a person, as Krishna is here describing himself, that must be an illusion. And actually they are wrong. There is an impersonal aspect. It is possible to realize that aspect through the yoga methods. But to say, okay, now I have realized something, for everything else will be an illusion. It's like going to school and learning that 1 + 1 is 2. And therefore that proves that anything further in mathematics is wrong. No, it's just the beginning. So if Krishna has an impersonal aspect, which he has, it's his energy, it's a very spiritual energy, it's and to realize that Brahman level is not insignificant, it's very impressive. But to therefore conclude that he doesn't have, that everything else is something he doesn't have, well then Krishna is less than us. We have personality, we have relationships, we have senses, we have consciousness and abilities and likes and dislikes. Although covered and conditioned by the present body, these aspects of being us is eternal. It's there in the spirit soul also. And it is even more so there in Krishna, because he's absolute. So, a simple line here, how Krishna will accept a leaf, a flower, a fruit and water if it's offered with love and devotion. We naturally bring in all these aspects that Prabhupada has brought in, and it gives us a very, very good basis for continuing our Krishna conscious process of self-realization. I'm still hoping that one day somebody will leave some questions for me below the text. I've left some links with information, and I hope you will come with us to watch further and further going through the whole Bhagavad-gita. Mostly this happens on Tuesdays and Fridays. A couple of times I forget. But please come back. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.